G'day everyone and welcome to another episode of BGA Golf Goss. I'm Christian, also known as Peggaz. We've got Kian, the chai latte, over in Perth.
How are we all?
And Wayne, also known as Winey, over there in Ballarat. How are we?
That's it. I'm going home.
Well,
I already am.
You are home, mate.
It works. All right, so I am going to tee off today. We'll get to that later. But first of all, big news. Breaking news, El Presidente no more. What's going on?
Ex-Presidente.
Ex-Presidente.
Bit like Donald Trump this year.
Yeah, I've stood down from my role as president, stood down from the board last week. So
you got stood down.
No.
They stood you down. They put you to the side, mate.
Yeah, they've cut my pay from 0 to 0. Yeah, no, it just started to take its toll on me, and it was literally just wearing me out. So I decided at our AGM that I'd pull the pin. So so it's all over and done with. I've passed the role over to our new president, which in actual fact is our first female president for our club. So it's quite good. So I hope Lisa does a great job. But I just wanted to basically say to everyone who's a member of a golf club out there, just please do your best to try and respect the position that people put themselves into. So I know when I was in the role as president, I have a great love and passion for my club. And over time, when you get criticism after criticism after criticism, it does take its toll. You should try and shake this stuff off. But it does does start to wear, and that's what probably wore me out. So, in a club environment, if you're there, if you've got a grief or something wrong, make it constructive rather than just a negative whinge, because they're the ones that just sort of take the toll on the people. The people who are in those positions in the board at your clubs are voluntary. They're not being paid anything. They're basically using their own resources, their own time to help make your club a better club. And, so please just respect who they are and what they do and how much they get paid. This much, and just respect what they do. As I said, it's a big thing to step up and actually do it. Get involved. If you haven't been involved in something like before, get involved. I really enjoyed my experience, but it's nice now just to get back into playing some golf.
Okay, so this is where I'm going to tee off. We'll get back to whether you've been able to enjoy your golf.
Just on that, before you start, I mean, Wayne, that's a good point, and I think I'd like to probably go a bit more into detail of what happens at a golf club in terms of what a captain means and what the president means and what you guys actually do. Because as an ex-member, I saw these people around, but I didn't quite understand what the role was and what you actually did for the club. And it'd be nice for you, and maybe in a separate video, not now, but we can go in a bit more detail about that. So, our viewers and our people watching this can just get a bit better idea.
Yep. No. Sounds great.
Give us the general. Give us just one quick liner. What is the main role of the president and the board of the golf club?
Well, basically, they're the members. They're the member representatives. So they're basically the people who've been put into play to actually sort of, run the club. So theoretically, the board is the boss of the general manager or the staff that are actually at the golf club. So a good board will basically work. A board should be there to work on strategic planning for the club, what's happening in the future. The board shouldn't be involved in the day-to-day running of the club. Now that line does get stepped over quite substantially a lot of times where, the boards think that they should be telling the general manager what to do, but a good board is basically working out strategically what goes on with the club. And the reason that you use members to do it is because members have an idea of what's actually going on in the club. So that's sort of theoretically it. The president's role and the captain's role probably a little bit different. The treasurer's role is looking after the finances. Even though you might have administration, they'll look after the money side. The captain's role, everyone know what the captain does. The captain's the guy that's up there who cops all the grief about the greens are too slow or the rough's too long. But they'll do, they work quite comprehensively with the pro to get, the golf operations sort of stuff running. And the president role is sort of more the overseer of everything. And I mentioned that, I got it just wore me out. I probably picked a bad time because we were right in the midst of COVID and we had to make some really tough decisions it affected a lot of people, and it just sort of did take its toll on me. So
And look,
hope that gives you an overview. Yep.
No, that is a great segue, because the line that you used, overstepping that mark, is perfect and exactly what I have a problem with. And on the other side, first of all, yes, there are people volunteering, giving up their time, and it is bloody hard when you are, you can use footy clubs as a broader analogy or otherwise, where you are essentially trying to be one voice for a mass of people. And just like society, not everyone has the same view and opinion. So what pleases some doesn't please others, and sometimes they're contrasting. So then you make some really happy and you piss other ones off, unfortunately.
And look, during COVID, we had to make some really drastic decisions on the operations of the club, and it did affect a lot of people, but that's what we had to do.
But that's what I want to tee off about, and that's what I'm pissed off about, because I am sick to death of people turning good people away from this game because they want to be the top collar, button up, stiff-necked, I am the club people. If you're in positions, if you are volunteering, I applaud you. Fantastic, great job. If you're being paid to work at a club, understand that you are not the club. You're members of the club. The people are the club. The golfers make this sport. But yet again, all I hear is someone who first played their game with pants and black socks had a bad experience because someone felt they needed to go and report them for wearing black socks and make a massive deal about it. Or someone, even though they were told by the Golf Pro they were within time, felt they needed to follow the group and make it known that they were following them and let them know that they were not keeping up pace, even though that person wasn't even bloody playing that day. Or the board at times who feel they need to run the club instead of manage and oversee. You have staff employed. And more so for any golf pros, golf ops people out there, your members are your people. You do not bag them in front of other people. You do not trash talk them in front of other people. And you, least of all, don't go around thinking you are the bee's knees, because you're not. The members are. Rant over.
Has he been kicked out of a club, has he?
So he's been followed. He wore black socks. He's worn black socks to a golf club and got kicked out.
And
He's been followed because he's slow play. He is pretty slow, right? Yeah, all these things happen to him, and he's having a massive rant.
Well, yeah, look, it's... I'll agree and disagree on you. Yeah, look, no, actually, I'll probably agree. Yeah, look, there is... And it probably happens a bit more in probably the metro area than what it does. I know, we've relaxed our environment. We want to try and encourage everybody to get into golf. So we've relaxed our environment, quite substantially. We still have a few rules, like we spoke about before, things like, you can't wear thongs, you're not supposed to wear tracky dacks. But, if you want to wear a pair of jeans to go and play golf, wear a pair of bloody jeans. It's a pair of pants. But I still understand that there's some of those upper clubs.
I saw Kean's Mo just move a little.
No. I still understand that there's some of those royal clubs that want to keep their dress standards, but the problem is that the issue that they're going to have is they're going to keep those standards, and their older clientele is there. Once their older clientele's gone, they're not encouraging younger people to get involved in golf, and without those younger people coming into golf, those clubs are going to suffer.
No, I guess. You saw me sort of quiver there. I mean, I understand that the game of golf is going through a massive growth at the moment, right? You talk to most golf clubs across Australia, it is chockers. You can't get a game, right? And we should be doing more to encourage those people to keep playing, right? And getting them involved, explaining to them what membership's all about, the club mentality, and getting them to join if we can, right? Now, in saying that, there still needs to be a minimum standard to some of these golf clubs that we follow. I mean, it's a pretty traditional game, right? We've talked about in the past, Wayne, that, do we use a 2-iron or do we use a hybrid and stuff like that? And we do things like that because we're just a loyalist or a purist to the game, right? And the same should go to a golf club. Now, I'm not saying that all golf clubs should follow that standard, but I don't believe jeans should be allowed, in most private, we're talking private, right, where you can't step foot on as a public, I think there should be a standard there, right? And I believe
you have an issue. So I'm in the middle here because jeans for playing golf. I think public courses, yes. Private clubs, maybe a bit of a standard. I agree.
no, a private club, definitely no. Private golf club. If you're a fully private golf club,
and you want to wear a pair of jeans to just go and have a beer at the bar, why not?
Because there should be a standard. I mean, we're a golf club here, right? You pay. We pay good money to be at a place like that. I think if that's their rule, I think we should stick with it.
So jeans offend you?
They don't offend me. I mean, I wear jeans all the time, but I'm saying in a golf club environment, right, where they've said no jeans, no jeans. So I mean, if that's their rule.
In the bistro, just having a drink and food, no intention of playing golf, not on the golf course, jeans offend you?
They don't offend me. I'm just saying that it shouldn't. If the rule of the golf club is not to wear jeans, there should be no jeans.
Yeah,
no one should be able to wear jeans.
I'm asking why.
I think but you need to understand. If it's a rule, it's a rule. That's what it needs to be done. But I personally, I think a lot of these rules should be readdressed and re-looked at. And that's what I know at our club. We actually went back and readdressed all the rules that were there just to try and make it easier. Like a lot of ladies now wear active wear. And we were having golf clinics with ladies turning up wanting to wear active wear to do golf clinics, and our rules stated they weren't allowed to wear them. So we made a modification of the rule, and we now basically allow, because it's just that's the way things are. As I said, it's the difference between, I suppose, your private clubs that we're talking about here. They're probably the clubs that people are trying to get into. They don't really have an issue with trying to get members. The issue comes where you go back to your non-private clubs who are trying to attract more and more members to come along. They need to adapt to try and enable more and more people to come in. And the biggest thing is to come in and feel comfortable. Come in and feel that what they're doing is they're welcome.
I'll give you this example, right? So the example of the Black Sox. So there was a new member. It was one of their first times out on the course.
Christian, is it a private or a...
This is a semi-private, so I'd call it a tier 3, borderline tier 2 club. I'm not going to say where it was.
No, I don't know. No.
But basically, new member and just playing for the first time. So this person's just put down $2,500–3,500, okay, to contribute to this club, and all clubs need it. First of all, some of the things that we get lost in here is it's ironic how right now clubs think that what they're going through in some way is what it was 12 months ago. 12 months ago, these same clubs were desperate and trying to get revenue and figuring out how they're going to survive. And yes, COVID's had impact in other ways with bar, bistro and otherwise, but more members and membership revenue were critical. But all of a sudden, because we're full, because COVID's had an impact on other sports, which has allowed golfers to come in, we've got this influx, but now we're taking it for granted that we have this influx, and we're not thinking about the future. How do we keep, like to what you said, Ken, how do we keep these people coming through? How do we keep these new members? People are signing up to golf clubs because the restrictions are greater on accessibility. Whereas again, 6 to 12 months ago, we were talking about social golf and how the world's just opened up to everyone can play anywhere. And now it's almost reverted back to an older model. But we've got to remember, once we get out of COVID, we're going to go back to those challenges within the golf industry, and we want to encourage people to be able to play. So again, if someone's just signed up for $3,000 or so, and they're wearing black socks, underpants and shoes, in this situation, I saw somebody go up to the golf pro, make a point about it, and the golf pro even said, it's a new member, just, I'll mention it to them. No, that's not good enough. We need to make sure that people adhere to the dress standards here, and so he kept pushing the point. And at the same time, there's other golfers coming in and out of the door, and some just casual members, because this club was more of a lifestyle, a residential club. And you've got these people coming through the door hearing it, and then almost put the golfer in a position where he had to make a point to this new golfer. And I was there when that got addressed, and the new golfer doesn't even want to be there anymore. Yeah. So the impact that one little issue has, which is, like, do we really care that someone wore black socks on? Like, really? How did it affect anybody's game?
But it automatically goes straight into my wanker category. So yeah. So
I get it. And I think, look, if it's his first time, I think someone should just tell him, right? Hey, just to let you know in the future, just don't wear black socks underneath it. you wear white, right? But getting back to the point, I don't
change the rule. Why does that need to be a rule?
Yeah.
Who cares?
But that's what we're saying. You've got clubs have got to learn now to, as I said, there's been that tradition that's been down there for years and years and years. They've got to learn to adapt. And if they don't adapt, as I said, the clubs are going to die because they're not, yes, they're keeping their current members who are there, but they're not attracting any new ones to come in to replace them.
All right, we got to move on. But for any of the listeners out there, if you've had any experience, write to us. Or
being kicked off a club,
absolutely.
Wearing the wrong underpants,
like Christian.
An issue? Do you think it's an issue? But Wayno, since retirement, have you been able to get out and play any golf yourself?
Yeah, I went out and played on Sunday, and it was quite interesting playing without having to worry about anything. Had a little broke my birdie train record. My birdie train record was 2, and I birdied 4 holes in a row and shot 73. So I had a couple of bad holes.
All right, moving on. We ran out of time.
Yeah, that's right. Your head's not going to fit the screen anymore, mate.
No. So it was just interesting to be able to go out there and not worry about anything else and just go enjoy my golf. So I'm enjoying my golf again. So yes, it's all good.
That's good. And I think, Wayne, you said, we talked about how busy it is at the moment. I think you said something about Ballarat and their membership.
I just had an email come through this morning because I maintain and look after the website for the club, and the club's actually closed down. Suspended its 7-day membership because we're basically at a point where our bookings are so busy now, it's just ridiculous. It's like we put...
And just to be clear, sorry, in Ballarat, you're not under any restrictions. You're 4-ball, you're good?
We're 4-ball, still on single person per cart. Still got restrictions coming in, in through the clubhouse. You are allowed inside the clubhouse in very restricted numbers. So yeah, so we've got the ability sort of to have majority of most golfers there. We're still on single tee start. So with that makes it a little bit easier to maintain the numbers coming in throughout the pro shop. But so we open our timesheets at 8 o'clock on a Friday morning, and our timesheet for the following Saturday will fill up in 6 minutes.
Awesome.
So what they've done now, what we did while I was still there, was we've actually changed. We no longer have a Saturday comp at the moment while COVID's on. We have a weekend comp, so our members can play the comp Saturday or Sunday. So we're getting about 50 players on Sundays now, which is great as well.
Part of what we do with BGA, we get around to a number of different courses, and obviously I do some work there at Ballarat as well. And what I will say, and you've already expressed a little bit of frustration or things that have happened that have led you to stepping down as president. But for the most part, Ballarat, I know, is a really great environment where between the board, the members, the general management and staff, the bistro, the pro shop, there's a really cohesive relationship that makes a great environment for its members and its people. And that's why you guys are thriving. And so all I do is encourage golf clubs to understand that there needs to be cohesion between the pro shop, the board, the GM.
And the biggest thing is, Christian, is communication.
Yeah.
Is let the members know what's going on. That's the biggest thing.
Each other. Like there's so much infighting at clubs where, there's infighting between the pro shop and the staff, the board and the GM, et cetera, et cetera. So there needs to just be cohesion because that disgruntlement or that I guess politics that's happening within the club filters down into the culture of the club, and then it gets to the members, and the members start talking about it, and it just really does have an impact on the sport in the end, and then your club. So for anyone out there, just really encourage you to have a more professional approach and a more communicative approach to your club environment and the ecosystem between those different areas of the club.
Yeah, beautiful. All right, quickly, Wayno, something new products?
I got some new grips.
Ooh.
I know it doesn't sound like much, but there is actually quite interesting.
Just on that way, I mean, getting new grips does make a difference between summer and winter. Like you gotta change it up because if it starts to rain and it gets a bit greasy and slippery.
I'm really disturbed looking at how Wayne's fondling that grip in the camera. It's just.
I thought we were rated PG, Wayne.
We were. But I had a look at the guys have got heaps of different grips over there, so I had a bit of a play around it. And tried these ones out, and they're pretty cool. So these are the GolfPride. They're the
Align, aren't they?
X4 aligns. So X4 means they're actually a little bit thicker at the base than they normally are. But the difference they've got is, it's a little bit hard to see, but you can see a red line running down the spine there. But the red line is actually raised probably maybe 1.5 mil or 2 mil. And I used them the first time yesterday. It was quite interesting.
Doesn't it? Like, especially right in that groove of
so it actually sits, and you actually, when you hold it in your hand, it actually does give you, gives you a nice sort of square alignment with your grip. So as I said, tried them the first time yesterday, and they feel pretty cool. So I'm very happy with these, and they're cord at the top as well, which I've always loved cord grips. But
and just on that, you can only get rib grips on your irons, because you can't put it in your woods now, because you can change the loft or open and close. So having a rib grip on a driver or fairway wood or anything that can change, it doesn't work right. So
no, I've actually got
for those punters out there, don't go putting a rib grip on those clubs that you can actually change.
I did put it on my driver, and I had one on my driver, but that was after I set it where I wanted it to be.
Yeah, do that.
And let's be honest, usually once most people have their driver in a set position, that's where it's going to stay. But yeah, definitely conscious of that point, Keane, is that if you are going to adjust, then know that you can't have those alignment grips with the ribbing sitting off the back, because
throw your grip out.
Just get your pro to set your driver up and don't touch it, you tossers.
All right, and exciting news to launch on the race series, but today's just a teaser. So obviously, for apparent reasons, going to Mission Hills isn't a good idea. We've had to look
hang on. For those who didn't know, Mission Hills is actually in COVID town. Correct. So that's why we've avoided it.
Island's actually not too bad, but yeah, nonetheless, people don't want to go to China regardless. Plus, when we can travel overseas is another question. However, we do have something a little bit more domestic, still overseas, and we will carry over the race series into next year. Obviously, unforeseen things this year have happened. We will obviously get the race series underway as soon as possible. We want to be COVID safe and respectful. Obviously, in Victoria right now, look, we do have to address it's a serious issue. Over 700 cases today, 13 deaths, I think it was. And so this is a really serious issue. And so golf needs to be secondary to the health and safety and well-being of the general public. We know people want to get out and play golf, and we hope you've been able to. And we look forward to trying to get the race series underway. But changing location was needed for the prize, and we are proud to announce that the two winners will the winner will take a friend or a person of their choice to the Central Otago 5-course Classic with a full golf package, plus an exclusive round of one of golf's most premier destinations. So I'll leave that with you as a bit of a teaser. If you want to look up the Central Otago 5-course Classic, go ahead. You'll figure out where you're going, and we'll announce more as we go. So stay tuned, and we'll have more to come on that.
And thanks for everyone's support. I mean, it's been fantastic so far, all the events that we've run. So, to all those guys that have joined Club BGA and supported us, thank you so much, because it means a lot.
And we look forward to hopefully trying to get Club BGA happening in Perth soon. We've already had a few members sign up from over there. So hopefully we can build it up over there as well.
And we're just in negotiation with the Prime Minister. She's actually going to come out and caddy for you. She's a top chick, so I think she'd be a great caddy.
Please don't listen to him. He's lost his mind.
We can only ask.
All good. All
right, guys. Thanks for your time again. Love your work. Chai latte, whiny, always good. See you next time.
See ya.
Bye.